You can literally only take so much and the body will say no. I didn't have capacity for both. Like, it was like, I either need to be supportive at home or killing it at work, but I don't have capacity for both. And I chose home. My husband was off work, ended up being off for a year. And so it's like, okay, well, I don't have capacity to work at the way I had been working. That was like when I had to say, okay, well, now I have to work smart or not.
Here's a number that really is, I find, like, staggering. A 15-minute, 5-day-a-week task is 4 days of your life back every year.
Your clients, they work with you because they trust you. And if you instill your trust in someone, they'll believe you.
Hey, it's me, Coach B. I hope you're doing well. I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation I had with one of my all-time favorite people, not just in the real estate industry, but on planet Earth. I'm talking about Ashley Metcalf. She is a top producing professional from Vancouver Island, the city of Nanaimo. Ashley has been in the industry now, I believe it's about 7 years. And she's got a very interesting story to get from where she was, which she originally started as a part-time front office administrator at the RE/MAX of Nanaimo office, working her way up a team from being a buyer's agent all the way to a full partner and lead listing agent on one of the top teams on Vancouver Island. Now, to put it in perspective, in 2024, the average agent sold 4.9 homes on Vancouver Island, 4.9 homes for the year. Ashley sold 49. So essentially 10x what the average agent is. But what's interesting about that is that she actually has quite a bit of boundaries and quality of life in her business. And so that's what we wanted to unpack together, but it wasn't always like that. In fact, Ashley was very much not just a subscriber to, but maybe even, dare I say, a proponent of the hustle culture when she first started her career. She has a very high motor, a very high capacity for work. And she worked her absolute face off in the beginning of her career. And it led her to a very difficult point where she would say maybe a breaking point in her life. And she was forced to make some hard changes and evolve. And I'm very, very happy and proud to say as her friend that not only is her business in an incredible place, but her life is too. Now, is it all sunshine and roses? No, it's not. Ashley is one of the most honest, real, raw people that I get to talk to in this business. So you're going to hear that, no, it's never perfect, but she's always perfecting. And she gives us some really great strategies and some practical insight into how you can maybe streamline your business and add a few more systems so that you can hopefully work less while living and earning more. Hope you enjoy the conversation I have with Ashley Metcalf. See you in there. I guess, Ashley, my best buddy in the whole wide world, you know what I'm not going to allow you to do in this interview?
Make fun of you?
No. Well, it is Pink Shirt Day. Look, I'm wearing a pink shirt just to prove it.
Jody got me one too, but I didn't wear it for this.
You know what's funny is I found myself like I was afraid I was going to get bullied because of my shirt. So I think it's having the opposite effect. But nonetheless,
flashbacks.
I'm going to push you to not be so gosh darn humble. Because you are as long as I've known you in the real estate business, you let your work speak for you. I just finished a 4-week training session where I showed up for 3 of the 4 weeks, which actually is a personal record for me. I can't believe I showed up that much.
I'm amazed myself.
I left you high and dry in one of them. And I think you said, like, if Nike's tagline is just do it. I think Ashley's tagline is like, I'm not that great. I'm not that special. Which is like, I'm not letting you off the hook because you are great and you are special. But I think that there's in that insight, there's something I want to try to like get to the bottom of today in our discussion. So let's give some context to anyone who's watching or listening to this. The average agent on Vancouver Island sold 4.9 homes. I don't know how you sell 0.9 of a home. Is that like a condo or something? Or I don't know. But
you don't hand over the keys in person.
Oh, is that what it is? They come and get them from the office. Okay.
Drive by and throw them out the window.
The average agent sells 4.9 homes a year in 2024. You sold 49 homes. That's 10 times more.
Yeah.
Here's the first hard-hitting question. How? Why? What are you doing? I don't get it. Like, how are you honestly, measurably, empirically 10 times more productive than the average realtor?
Okay, here's where I will say something not humble.
Oh, good. Wow, we're getting into it.
I'm early. Just gonna rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. it's not that hard. It's like for me, I think I can handle a high volume of work,
Yeah.
and I think I thrive in that environment. It's like I that like gives me energy. So that really is my sweet spot. Like I've identified that. I remember there was a few years back I thought I don't want to sell real estate forever. Like I'm going to get bored. And what I've come to realize through letting go of things is that selling real estate is actually what gives me energy. So that's a good use of my time.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing like 8 deals in a month, I'm like walking in the neighborhood on my walk with a pep in my step. When
Mm.
I'm like doing 1 deal a month, like I did in January, I'm like just on the struggle
On the struggle
bus.
bus driving it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the energy is not there. So I think everyone's sweet spot is different. Um, there was a time in the pandemic where um, there was 1 year, I think I did 71 deals that year,
Mm-hmm.
around 70 deals. And I did vacation coverage for multiple agents on our team. So I did an additional, I think, 22 deals that weren't mine, that like weren't recorded as mine, but I handled the transaction. And there was 1 month where 2 people on our team were on holidays, and I did 20 transactions for the team in 1 month. And I will
Yikes.
tell you, that was not fun and that was not easy.
Yeah.
And so I think some people, their sweet spot's 2 a month, some people it's 5, some people it's 10, some people it's 8. However, for me to do 50 deals a year, I feel like I have a pretty good quality of life. I would say I have the best quality of life I've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to let go of a whole side of my business in order to make that happen.
Yeah, and I want to dig into that because if I could foreshadow that, are you referring to the buyer side of the business in order to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely get into that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, how do I do it? I do it by kind of like I said, I'm not that special. I just do the things that I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do them. And I
Mhm.
think the industry bar for that is a lot lower than people think it is.
Yeah.
You know, the standard for that's quite low. And so I have the same struggles as everybody else. I have struggles with wanting to pick up the phone to make the call to see if I'm going to get the listing, you know, that type of thing. But I still make myself do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You do the things.
Yeah.
So I guess there's there's so many things I want to ask you about now. Okay, so I want to talk about your quality of life and get some insight into your schedule. I want to talk to you about your sweet spot idea of being busy because I hear you on the like the volume of deals you like to do. The idea behind the sweet spot is it's supposed to be something that's within your control that
Yeah.
you do. And so like, you know, given any given month, you might not have the deal, like you said, January you did 1, and 1 month you've done 20. 9 feels like the right amount. But I'm curious to know if there's things that you do that aren't directly deal related, because it sounds to me that you love being in the deal, you love being in the
Mhm.
negotiation, but you don't always have direct control
Control.
over that. Are there other
Mhm.
things that you would say are energizing that are also things you're good at and grow your business, or is it just really like put me in the deal, coach?
Put me in the deal coach is number one.
Yeah.
I get energy from also just getting things done. So a lot of times what I'll do the night before, I'm a little bit old school like this. You probably do it on your computer, but I have a notepad that I keep on my desk, and I make it.
What version of the iPad is that?
Sorry, this is this is an iPad.
-5.
So like on Tuesday, February 18th, I wrote a to-do list on Monday, February 17th of my, you know, what my Tuesday to-dos were.
Mhm,
And those might be like call the RDN to ask about this,
mhm,
you know, check in with the guys on my team. It could be like really little things, like follow up on listings last year that expired and haven't come back to market.
mhm.
And I might even just need a win and just be like, okay, I'm just going to do 1 today because I'm not feeling it. And then just crossing them off. And so I think it was 2 years ago, I made this rule for myself that I would keep to my routine even when I'm slow, get up at, 5 or 6. And I've relaxed a lot in that way too, but get up, do my usual stuff. And even if I'm not busy, I would go to my office, whether it's upstairs here where I am right now at home or at my office at work. And from like 9 till noon, I would check things off my list. And if noon came and I had no appointments, I could go home for the day
Mhm.
and I can mail it in at that point. And so I do think that um, having things that you set yourself to do every day is a really good way in moving the needle forward and feeling like you're getting things done. And I like that because another thing that gives me energy is connecting with the agents on our team. I really enjoy that.
Mhm.
I like helping them. I like talking to them. I like knowing what they're up to, not because I don't trust what they're doing, but just because I just like talking to them
Well,
about their business.
if I was on your team, you would definitely be checking in with me because you don't trust me. I get that, but
Yeah,
everyone else, I
everyone
understand.
else.
Everyone else is an adult there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I like just being in touch with them, and that gives me energy too. And we're like, if they're out there doing deals like they are right now, I've done 0 deals in February. Zero, haven't signed a listing. Well, I did a relist, but I don't count that. Like, haven't signed a new listing, haven't done a deal. They're all out there crushing it. And so I get motivated by also just talking to them because I'm like, okay, they're doing it, so I've got to do the things so that I can do it too. I don't want to be on the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I want to take a little bit of a detour for a second because what I'm about to say, I want to get ahead of it and just put a flag in the ground and say, you work your butt off, you care a lot, you are really good at what you do, so you deserve and have earned all the success that you've had. Period. Full stop. Like, I'm a big admirer of yours. Um, Having said that, you started on a team that was already a
Mhm.
well-established team. And again, not everyone who's ever started on that team has worked to the point where to the level where they're now a partner on that team. So like, again, give you your flowers, you deserve it. But I also think you have an interesting perspective because you didn't start as a solo agent and you didn't have to do your own paperwork from day one and
Mhm.
split between, they say, buyers and sellers. So it's like, that's not to take anything away from your amazing track record, but it is different. I'm curious, like, I know you're a trusted friend amongst many of the agents in the office and you see the struggle of the solo agent. And like, my
Mhm.
audience is going to be primarily solo agents that are experienced. Like, I'm curious, like, what have you seen from your perspective, sort of plugging into a system, plugging into a team, having an assistant? Like, if you were to go back to day one and be a solo agent, like, how would have that been different for you, do you think?
Well, that's a good question. Like, administratively, I am super savvy. Like, I actually think I would have been a really great assistant. Like, I have really strong administrative skills.
Yeah.
And so when I was a buyer's agent, our assistants at the time loved me because my files were like dialed. They were
Oh,
not cleaning up after me. See, another lack of humility.
yeah. Wow.
um,
Who is this ego monster?
this isn't being recorded, is it?
No, no.
Um,
This is just a dry run. This is a practice run.
Yeah. Oh, good. Perfect. Yeah. So my paperwork was always dialed, and I liked that. I really like dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Yeah.
But the benefit of having an assistant is that you aren't spending your time now loading the deal, loading like all the stuff that happens in the back end. I don't know how to do it. We've had times when our team is having tough times and we lose an assistant, and I have to learn how to use Fall Tour. And I'm like, Lord save me. Like, I feel like a complete moron starting from nothing. So I think if you're a single agent, um, that is another aspect of the business that you have on top of your workload.
Yeah.
And I guess it becomes like there's going to be a point in your business where you have to decide, is that really worth your time to
Yeah.
be doing that? And even me being on a team, and it cannot go unacknowledged the amount of administrative support I've had in my career.
Mhm.
That being said, I did not let go of a lot of the administrative tasks I did. and the amount of clients I worked with and the amount of support I gave to agents on our team and the amount of projects I took on for the team until about a year and a half ago. And I can tell you that there comes a point where you have to decide, is this really even if I like this task, is it the best use of my time? And I really did have to kind of at some point make a decision to lean on the assistant more, because I used to feel like, especially as a buyer's agent, like it wasn't my right to lean on the assistant. That like all I was supposed to do is give her this perfect file and she would load it and everything else was on me. And I have to say, since I transitioned to being more of a listing agent, the amount of work that I dump on Ella's desk now is insane. And I'm like, I can't believe I was doing all of these things.
You're a horrible boss. Yeah.
I'm a horrible person. But like,
Yeah.
but that year when I did all that volume, I was hanging on by a thread. It's like, you might hear those numbers and think, oh my God, that's amazing. No, you shouldn't be proud of that. Like, you shouldn't be proud of having such a lack of boundary that you're doing that volume of business for other people on your team that isn't even your own. And that amidst all of that, you're carrying a heavy administrative load. Like, that's not something to brag about.
So it's interesting because you kind of solve the problem I was going to throw out to you, which was like, it's interesting because I work with a lot of agents who are, believe it or not, strong administratively, like naturally. Like they're the kind of people that if they do something that's not on their to-do list, they write it on their to-do list to feel the satisfaction of crossing it off, right? Like they're those kind of people.
I do that.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. And so those people often feel, or they get stuck is they do hang on to the lower value things because they're good at them. Right. And, or they hang on to them out of guilt and whatnot. And so the conversation with that solo agent, like I imagine, like if we rolled it back to, first year Ashley, and then we're talking to second year Ashley as a solo agent, part of that conversation might've been like, Ashley, you got to let go of this admin stuff because it's holding you back.
Totally.
Right. But what's also fascinating from my perspective is, I kind of set this whole dialogue up by saying like, I don't want to take away your success because you've got all this team and stuff. But imagine if you were solo. I think you've actually shined a light brilliantly on the struggle of having a team and having systems and maybe not even using them.
100%.
Right. So I wasn't even thinking about that. And that is so fascinating because here you are, you have all these, expenses and stuff in place, and you're not even leveraging it to its fullest capacity.
No.
Yeah.
Even now, I could make improvements. Like, there's no doubt. I've come a very long way, but there's still things that I could improve for sure. And I was thinking about that because I just did my 4-week session in Victoria. And I thought about that. Like, I gave everyone all of the tools that our team has, like literally all of our systems. But if you don't use them, they're worthless.
Yeah.
They're just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what it comes down to. And when it comes down to like letting go in your business, I like to use the example of a house cleaner. Like, I am a meticulous, anal person.
Hold on a second. Are you the kind of person that cleans before the house cleaner comes?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, duh. I have self-respect.
Yeah. I have some self-respect here.
I have some dignity.
Yeah.
I even clean on the week that she's not here, and I clean up behind people, and it's just, it's not necessarily my best quality, but it is who I am. But anyways, when I get really busy, when the market gets super busy, I feel stressed about the 2.5 hours I have to spend cleaning my house on the weekend. I'm like, I need a cleaner. Like, what was I thinking? And then the market gets slow in the winter and I go, I don't need a house cleaner because I have spare time and I should just do it myself and save the $200 every 2 weeks. And there have been multiple years where I have let go of canceled the house cleaner and in the winter, and then April comes and I'm a hot mess and I'm pissed off that I'm spending my only 4 hours to myself cleaning the house and doing laundry and yada, yada, yada. And so this year I made a promise to myself that even though I don't think I need it,
Mhm.
I'm not going to cancel the house cleaner through the winter. And like I would say, and I'm not saying an assistant is the same as a house cleaner, but the principle
Yeah.
is essentially the same. There are times when you're like, I don't really need this support, but the reality is you might not feel like you need that support in January, but come May, you're going to be desperate for it.
You kind of show you're kind of pointing to how like and I don't think this is a realtor thing. I think it's just a human thing. Like we tend to not be very good at forecasting into the future unless we're really
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful about it. So it's like you
Yeah.
how you feel in your present tense. You're like, well, this is how I'm going to be this slow forever, or I'm going to
Yeah.
be this busy forever. And you know what you're saying is like, hey, real estate is a seasonal job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not assembly line workers that do the same thing every day, 365. There is ebbs and flows. And so, you know, maybe it makes sense to have systems that just run all year round so that you can ebb and flow. And another thing that you are reminding me of is I'm going to ask you this question to close out our conversation today, which is what would you do with an extra 10 hours a week if you had it?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think the fact that people don't have an answer to that is why they cancel the house cleaner, because
Totally.
when they get the time back, the pressure's off and they don't have to run around like a chicken with their head off cut off in the day-to-day business. They're like, well, I've got some extra time, but what they don't necessarily have is hobbies, interests,
Mm-hmm.
know how to relax,
Friends.
and friends, family, whatever. So then their default goes to, well, then I'll just clean the house. And it's like, well, you could actually imagine this for a second, be reading a book that interests you, even a nonfiction book or fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's the fake one? Fiction? Yeah, fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be reading a fiction. You could be reading Harry Potter upstairs while your house cleaner is downstairs cleaning your home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that
Yeah.
is possible, but it is a bit of like a how you value your time and how you know, how you hold yourself, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, not to get a little bit like woo woo, but, I've done a lot of personal work in the last, I mean, I've been going to therapy and doing personal work since I was 19, but in the last few years, I would say I've done more work around letting go.
Yeah.
And that's really been my focus of is loosening my grip on life, and that includes my grip at work and my grip at home and just my general grip, not like running through life with my shoulders at my ears.
Yeah.
And I really think that at the end of the day, a lot of it kind of comes to a self-worth thing. Like early in my career, I didn't think I deserved a break.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who am I to take a Sunday off? I don't
Ooh,
deserve
audacity.
I don't deserve a Sunday off. Like,
Yeah.
who am I to in January not go into the office on a Tuesday? Like, what kind of self entitlement do I have that I don't think that there's work I should be, could be, doing yada yada? And it's really taken me until this last year, and not that I nap, but it's like, if I wanted to come home today and have a nap, why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
I have a 2 hour response time to my clients. If I want to come home and lay on my heat pad, which I love to do at the end of the day, and close my eyes for an hour,
Yeah. What now?
what like
Yeah.
what
What?
does that
Come at
mean?
me. Come at me. Come
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
But it's like, like the story in my head before was that like
Yeah.
I didn't even deserve to come home for lunch. Like, it literally took my dog, Kissy,
Mm-hmm.
aging for me to come home and eat lunch, because I was like, now Kissy eats lunch. I
Yeah.
gotta come home and let Kissy out.
Yeah.
And well, shit, maybe I'll eat lunch while I'm there too. Like, there's a thought.
No kidding. And whereas before you'd be maybe scarfing it down at your desk while emailing.
Yeah, I'd have like a protein shake and a protein bar and an apple.
Yeah.
It's like while I'm driving.
So I want to go back in the timeline, you know, a year and a half ago to sounds to me like you had some type of moment of clarity or breaking point. I often find like the show's title Breakthrough with Coach B. I find that honestly the breakthrough often comes after the breakdown. At least that's been in my case, in my life, that's
Yeah.
been almost 100% the case. But I do want to just ask, if knowing what you know now, and it
Mhm.
sounds like with the work that you've done, and more self-worth or self-esteem, or just being generally kinder to yourself, if we could take this version of you and drop you back into day one of real estate on the same team and whatnot, like, do you think you would have operated differently, or would it have been exactly the same? Because one of the things that I'm always aware of is, like, people give advice often from where they're sitting in life, and
Mhm.
sometimes they wouldn't take their own advice if they were, say, instead of a 20-year vet saying, "Oh, don't work on weekends." Well, when you're a 20-minute rookie, like, you're probably working every weekend for a while. So I'm just curious, like, can we fit your current belief system into that earlier stage in your career?
I think you can. Like, I always say this to Josh, my husband. I don't know. I don't have to tell you he's my husband, but
Okay,
for
but
other
other people don't know. Sorry, who? How do you spell that? Yeah. Okay,
Josh.
got it. Yeah.
There's literally a song. It goes, "I wish that I knew," or I wish that what I know now I knew when I was younger.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like we beat ourselves up for the things we didn't know or the things we didn't do, but there's some things you only learn from experience.
Yeah.
And as someone who hires and trains a lot of new agents, sometimes new agents come on the team and I'm telling them, you shouldn't be wasting your time with this person. You shouldn't be wasting your time with this person. And they do it. And then they call me in a hot mess and I want to just lose my mind. And I think, well, Ashley circa 2016 carried a woman's purse.
Yeah.
Like let's just like have some perspective here that there are some lessons that I think you have to learn. I
Wait, hold on.
think
What is a purse? Like, you don't carry a purse now? Is that not how that works?
no, someone else's purse, like a client being like, "Oh, carry this for me," and
Oh
me
my
being like,
gosh,
"Oh
you carry, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Oh
yeah," like
boy,
of
do I
course
have a
I
few,
will,
yeah,
like
before, do I have
yeah,
some stories for you? Uh,
yeah,
the things that I
um,
did. Ooh,
yeah, right, like
yeah,
just things where you go, I can't believe I even worked with that client, or like people who just don't respect you as a human being, and I think being a more experienced agent, you have to remember that some things you have to learn yourself
yeah.
and you can't change that. That being said, when I started on our team in 2016, the dynamic was very different.
Mhm,
It was, and I'm not going to blame people on the team. I'm going to just say culture in general. It was like the time of the hustle culture,
mhm,
and none of the buyer's agents on our team had any work life balance. They were always at the office 7 days a week, not going home for dinner with their families. And that really was the culture on our team when I started. And so, um, I really felt that was expected of me to
mhm,
have no life and
mhm.
that I wasn't deserving of a life early in my career. And I think part, you know, part of it's true and part of it's not. And the
Yeah,
part of it that's true is that if you want to be successful in this business, when you don't have experience, you have to be willing to do the things that no one else wants to do.
yeah, yeah, you gotta
Hard
trade off,
stop.
yeah, you gotta trade off what you bring to the economy, right? Like, you either have
Yeah.
more time, or you have more money, or you have more experience, or maybe you have none of any of them, but, like, that's where the
Yeah.
expertise comes in for sure.
Yeah. And so I think there's that piece. And the other piece is that even if you're early in your career and you're not, and you don't have the money, but you have the time, if you still within that, when I think you do really have to be giving it all your time, if amidst that you're not giving yourself any time to
Mhm.
do what makes you feel good, you're not going to survive because you're going to burn out. And when you get as burnt out as I was by the end of the pandemic, on the heels of, basically 6 years of no boundaries in the business, you don't just get 3 weeks off and feel good.
Yeah. If you're watching this episode, there's probably a pretty good chance you're looking to free up some more time to do what you love both personally and professionally. But maybe you don't know where to start. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Our breakthrough method is designed to help you get 10 hours a week back every 90 days. And the first step towards your next breakthrough is completing our resource review to see where you're investing your time, money, and energy. We've created a free guide with instructions and a template for you to use to complete the resource review. You can grab a copy at bradenwheatcroft.com/resource or grab a link in the description down below. All right, let's get back into the episode. Well, let's talk about that. So you mentioned a year and a half. I don't know if that's like exact science math there on the timing, but there was a period in as much detail as you're comfortable talking about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what was going on in your world? What were you feeling like? Like, what was happening in that moment? Because the label on the outside would say Ashley is one of the top agents on Vancouver Island. Look at how successful she is, all of these deals and everything like that. But inside that cereal box, where you can't read the label, there was something else going on. Like, what was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. Graham and I had just started like the early days of our partnership. We talk about my humility, but it was very early in my career where I told Graham, if there's not a partnership path for me here, I ain't hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know myself. And I
Yep.
just I wasn't doing it from an ego standpoint. I just wanted to be honest with him early on about who I am
Mm-hmm.
and what I want. And so he knew that I would go on to other things if there wasn't that opportunity. And so we in 2018 started the first phase of my partnership, which is when I also took over the leadership of the team. And so basically, what happened is over the course of several years, I was working with buyers, working with sellers, leading the team, figuring out how to be a leader myself. Um, and I read this book called, I'm sure you've read it. It's a Simon Sinek book called Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah, that's
And
my
I think
favorite leadership book, actually.
it's an incredible leadership book unless you take it too far. and so I really resonated with that style of leadership that like you give to others and they'll give to you in return.
Yeah.
But the truth is that only works if the people that you're working with are of a giving nature, right?
And I would also say, because you're right, anything at its extreme can become unhealthy. Like even kindness at its extreme can be
Totally.
unhealthy, right? As a recovering people pleaser, I know that all too well.
Yeah,
But I hear what you're saying there. Is it's if they are a giving nature as well. But I also think like even having an off switch or an end boundary of like the eating last, like eating last doesn't mean starve yourself, and that's where it's like
exactly.
the nuances of these things come into play.
Yeah, so it was like a perfect storm of like I have zero boundaries. I'm starving myself, not literally, like figuratively in the giving
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. And I'm just kind of like flat my career is now exploding and I'm
Exploding
doing
in terms of like it's falling apart, or your volume, you're starting to sell
my
more.
volume.
Yeah.
I'm selling a high volume of houses.
Yeah.
I'm still contributing to vacation coverage to the team. I'm leading the team. um I'm hanging on essentially by a thread, and I think this is the road to success, right?
And
And so
what's going on in your and again, to the degree that you're comfortable talking about,
yeah,
what outside of work, what's going on? Like what's Ashley in
yeah,
that
like out
look like from a non-work Ashley, if there was any time left for that, I don't know.
there was very few, but non-work Ashley all of a sudden had this like injury and she was struggling to walk, and I thought, oh, this is a running injury, it's fine. And I just one time I literally went to walk in acreage with a cane because I was having like such bad physical pain. And I had had surgery at this time, and I was not physically well, but of course, I wasn't asking for help at work. I was just doing more, and like really suffering in my personal time. And so, um, one of my friends, Mandy, she kept saying to me, read this book called The Body Says No. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't have time for that. But eventually I read the book and I was like, holy shit, someone wrote a book about me, which is that like you can literally only take so much and the body will say no.
Yeah.
And so I ended up being diagnosed with a form of arthritis. So that was good. I got answers and I had to make some changes there to take care of myself. And so that was kind of step one. And one of the beautiful things that happened around that time, shortly before I got the diagnosis, is we had hired someone to our team who's a very giving person, but he has very good boundaries. And
Mm,
he was working, he had previously been on another team. He came to us. Him and I were friends. We'd worked together before. And he came to our team and he was on the team about 3 months. And I remember he walked in my office one time and was like, this isn't going to work for me. Like
mm,
this way of working. No, like not doing this kind of thing. And I had a lot of respect for him for that, because it was the first time someone on the team was like, no, like this is not like, I need some level of like balance in my life, right? And that was the first time we kind of started to shift, because it was like, oh, we actually have someone here, a buyer's agent with boundaries.
yeah.
And so I really do attest the change in the office to him, because he really had the self-worth and the self-confidence to say, and we're talking about someone who sells 40 deals a year. Like that's
Mhm.
it. He does a good business.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm here to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like.
Mhm.
And so he really kind of opened my eyes to the shifts that needed to happen in the office. And then I kind of continue. I was like, well, that's fine. You guys can do that, and I'm going to just like continue on steamrolling. And and then my husband was injured at work, and it basically triggered like a mental health journey for him on the heels of me having all these physical challenges. And it was kind of the first, it wasn't kind of, it was like the first time where I didn't have capacity for both. Like it was
Right.
like I either need to be supportive at home or killing it at work, but I don't have capacity for both. And I chose home.
And yes, and it sounds to me it's like, yeah, that first time, and if you're saying this the way I'm hearing it, is it's the first time in your life that the incredible Ashley, who has this like seemingly unlimited capacity for blood, sweat, and tears and work
Mhm.
and all the things, you actually finally found your limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like,
What-
oh,
what was-
physical pain, no worries, I'll get a cane. Like, not a problem. But it's like, whatever. Like,
See,
well,
most people turn to cocaine, and you just turn to a walking cane. I mean, I think that's a healthy compromise, right?
yeah. And
Uh,
so it's like something happened outside of my control. And I just reached my capacity. And I was like, okay, well, we are not in a financial position for me to not work.
yeah.
My husband was off work, ended up being off for a year.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, well, I don't have capacity to work at the way I had been working.
Yeah.
Um, but I can't not work, because we had just built a big house, we had a mortgage, we had a dog, we have a life.
Yeah.
And now we were down one income from my husband. And so I was that was like when I had to say, okay, well, now I have to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that old necessity is the mother of innovation, right? Like you were
Hmm.
forced to, right?
Yeah, and it's like I think hustle culture really taught us that, or like taught us to believe that more is more, and more is better.
Yeah.
And I do believe that's dead. Like people, that's not. I think there's a change just in
Shift.
general, a shift in the world where people value quality over quantity now.
Mhm.
And I think that applies to everything.
Yeah.
And it really forced me to also look at my goals. Like, I'm not trying to build generational wealth. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not. I
Mhm.
just want to have a good life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be good to the people I love. I want to be giving to my community. I want to be giving to my friends. I want to be giving to my family. I want to go on great holidays. I want to have nice things. But like, I'm not looking to sacrifice my own life for someone who's not born yet. Like, that's
Yeah.
not my goal. So like, why am I doing this?
No doubt. And I also just want to circle back to keep score here. She mentioned Mandy recommended a book. Mandy's my wife, for people who don't know. And so I just want the record to show clearly that one of Braden's favorite books almost killed Ashley. And my wife Mandy recommended a book that fixed her. So
Yeah.
obviously, like, don't come to me anymore for book advice. Go directly to my wife because, yeah, my book recommendations should come with like a warning label on it, like a Surgeon General, like, don't read this if you want to have a happy life.
It's a toxic friendship.
Yeah,
Braden strips you down and Mandy builds you back up. It's actually part of the therapeutic
it
process.
is.
You
It
you
is.
get rock bottomed.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay, I love that. So let's talk a little bit in the time we have left here around your approach. Now, I mentioned to you before we went live that our breakthrough method is essentially the elimination of things that are unnecessary. It's the
Mhm.
automation of things that are repetitive, and it's the delegation of things that are draining. And I know that you went through your journey without us actually talking about this process, but you've mentioned a number of things. And I'm wondering if we could, you don't mind indulging me, like if we walk through and go during that shift, the
Mhm.
19-month ago Ashley versus the dividing line, you've made that change. When it comes to eliminating stuff, like, what did you have to let go of in order to start seeing this better quality of life for yourself?
Mm. Yeah, well, I think it's probably started with putting more things on an assistant.
Mhm.
So I started to look at things and be like, well, do I really need to do this?
Mhm.
Or could, my assistant at the time was Carolyn, or could Carolyn be doing that for me? And so just kind of starting to delegate the administrative task, which again, like, seemed to me like things I was just good at and easy to do. But
Yeah.
as soon as I started letting them go, I was like, oh, there's an hour or two a day,
Well, here's a number that really is, I find, like, staggering. A 15-minute, 5-day a week task is 4 days of your life back every year.
Yeah.
So when you say when you don't have enough time to go on a vacation or even a long weekend, it's like, find a thing that's 15 minutes and let that go, or automate it or
Mhm.
delegate it, and that's 4 days back. Boom, there you go.
Yeah. And also part of it was just like accepting, like, how much money do I really need? Like, what,
Mm,
like, because I've done over 70 deals a year. And to be honest, it wasn't that great. Like, sure, it's cool to say, yeah, I did 70 deals a year, but it's like,
mhm.
I don't know, like,
Yeah.
like, was I really winning at that point? Like, it's like, I think a lot of agents, when they get over 40 deals a year, they lose their quality of life and they're like, oh, I'd rather just do 35. It's better.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to dig up this study, and I think it needs to be contextualized for North America. But I remember seeing this thing, this research. It said above about $85,000 a year, um, financial motivation and satisfaction from money it becomes a diminishing return. So you're not
yeah,
like, when you earn 160 or 170,000, you're not double as happy as you are when you make 85. Now, I don't know what that
totally.
number is. Obviously, like, cost of living in the area, it will factor in, but yeah, that is one of the things I've seen in my capacity, especially in my broker owner role, is like, we work with a lot of very productive people, and it's not to say that every productive person is an unhappy person, but the amount of people who are very financially successful that are not feeling like they're thriving in other areas of their life is staggering. It's the whole reason why I do this podcast in the first place, is to kind of shine a light on this stuff. It's like, money doesn't make you happy. It can
Yeah,
contribute to it, but it certainly, I don't think it is the singular reason why you're going to be really grateful for your life.
you won't.
Yeah.
You won't. And I know I'm on a team, so I know it's different, but I am an owner in that team. And so let's just give some perspective. If you're making $500,000 a year and you don't have time for a holiday, you don't have time to sit down and have dinner with your spouse without your phone there, you don't go home for lunch, you whatever, maybe you don't even exercise because you don't take care of yourself. I don't know what your story is, but we can create any dialogue we want. Now, if you pay an assistant, whatever, $65,000 a year, and now you have taken 40 hours of your work week
Yeah.
out of your week, what could you be doing? And it's like, I was someone who had access to an assistant that was probably relieving 20 hours a week of work for me, but I was still taking on other work that I could have been delegating out. And maybe 20 hours is generous, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there was time in my day that I was doing things that a competent assistant is more than capable of doing. The other thing was also, a lot of it comes down to ego. I know we talk about me having humility, but I do have an ego,
We all,
and we all do.
yeah.
And, part of the dialogue I told myself was that I couldn't let go of my clients because they love me so much. How could they possibly like Julian? Like, how
I mean,
could they?
I get that one, but yeah,
Yeah.
let's use another
And
name.
like, not how could they like Julian,
I'm
but like,
kidding.
how could they,
Yeah.
I'm a woman.
I'm God's gift to real estate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I hug my clients, and I'm so personal with my clients, and he's more of a numbers guy, and blah blah blah. And it's like, when I started letting go of my clients, like, I would fumble it so bad. I'd be like, well, Julian's gonna take, he's gonna help you on the buy side, but I'm still here and I'm still involved, and like, and they would kind of be like confused. So like, are you my realtor? Is Julian my realtor? Like, and then I would end up still coming on some appointments, not because I think Julian is incompetent. He's highly competent. Like, he does not need me.
He's
He
more
does not.
competent than both of us. Like,
Yeah,
truth.
like, he's definitely smarter than me. He's definitely probably better with his time than me. He has way better boundaries than me, and all of his clients love him. So it's like, there was really no reason for me to micromanage that. And I would just make it worse for myself. And then I realized I just need to rip this effing band-aid off. Like, I need to stop explaining this and just say it. And when I started doing it, I can tell you that I started giving up my buyers in 2022, is January 2022. I decided that's it. So I started doing it then, and I have never once had a single person not be cool with it. Like, ever. No one has ever come crawling back to me. Like,
please, Ashley, let me be
yeah.
the buyer's agent.
Yeah, like, please,
Yeah.
like, so it's like, it's actually the reverse. It's like, oh, we love Julian so much, we love Adam so much, we love Jory so much, oh, they're so great. And what I learned is that your clients, they work with you because they trust you, and if you instill your trust in someone, they'll believe you.
Yeah.
And the second I was like, listen, Julian's going to take you on the buy side. He goes in way more houses than me. This is what he does. It's his sweet spot. It's not what I do anymore. We're going to work together. I'm going to help you on this side. He's going to help you on that side. We're going to provide you with a way better level of service, and it's going to be great. And they're like, cool.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of busy here watching Tiger King. Ashley, can you
Yeah.
Julian to call us? White Lotus just came out. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that was a lesson for me working, because I actually worked on this, as you know, but maybe people don't, is I worked on the same team that you now are a partner in. And Charlie Parker, who founded the team, he's reminded me over the years, it's like, people don't buy you, they buy the standards you represent, right? So it's like about having people who represent those standards. I love that. So that's a very great example of what did you eliminate to have this sort of breakthrough in your business and life, is you've eliminated the buyer side of the transaction. And you could say that you've delegated that. That's also, for sure, possibility. I do want to, just because we have to land the plane here in about 10 minutes or so, but I want to know, on the system side, because like literally
Mhm.
one of the Parker team mottos is let the system work
Some
for you.
work for
I
you.
just and I just watched 4 weeks because I did actually watch the session that I wasn't at, just for the record. And that session happened to be called Systems Are What?
Sexy.
Systems Are Sexy. And I don't know about you, but when I hear the word systems used, often it immediately conjures up images of like technology, like systems equals tech. But I know
Mhm.
from being on the Parker team from 2009 to now that there is some low tech or no tech systems involved behind this machine that is very successful. So let's talk about systems for a second. But I want to start specifically with the non-tech systems in your business. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit about the systems that you have in place that allow you to both sell 49 homes a year and also have quality of life now? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you haven't already figured it out, for the people who are watching, I am not an early adopter. So it's a very low tech system. But yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to like, I still use a lot of paper. It all gets scanned into Dropbox now, which allows me to do things more remotely, like work from home, which I never used to do. I used to always be at the office. I just felt like, how could someone work from home? Which I know is kind of funny, but I always wanted to be at the office where there was a printer. But I still use paper CMA sheets. And I rank my CMAs based on a um, an A to D level potential.
Mhm.
And then they do go, tech does become a factor. That's, they go into follow up boss and they go on the ticker that reminds me to follow up with them. The non-tech part is I actually have to do the reminder,
Yeah.
right?
I call
And
that
some of,
semi automation, right? Like full
yeah.
automation is it might send the remind or it might reach out to the client on your behalf, whereas semi automation is it reminds you so you don't have to
Mhm.
remember, but then you make the call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And things like, if I send them a notepad, which we do, I'll write a personal note on a notepad.
Yeah.
I'll write the note, I'll put it on my assistant's desk. She addresses the envelope and drops
And
it, sends
even
it
though
in the
you
mail.
could write your own damn envelope, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
I
you've
know.
got great penmanship.
Yeah.
And it's like again, it's one of those things we let go of.
Yeah, and it's like it seems sometimes I feel like pathetic for doing that. But or just like they address all my birthday cards and they put them on my desk and then I sign them and I give them back to them and they stuff them and mail them
Yeah.
and those are like 10-minute tasks. So everything that we have is checklist based in paper.
Mhm.
And the assistant goes through and follows it. There are definitely some follow-up systems that I could have our assistants doing more of than I do. But, you know, like for me, I think my competitive edge is my personal touch. It's
Mhm.
like, and I like that.
Yeah.
And so I just am like, well, I want to do that. I
I
don't
agree.
want my assistant to make the call, you know?
I think there's a time and place, you know,
Hmm.
I'm going to the dentist on Monday. You're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God, finally.
Yeah.
And I'm getting messages from the system saying to remind me of the appointment. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that it would add tremendous value to me if Dr. Babin personally texts me and like, hey man, see
Yeah.
you in the chair on Monday. Like, probably not. But so I think there's a time and place. And also automation, I think, can be dangerous for us because I've said before, like if you want to save a lot of time, fully automate all your relationships because you won't have any clients left, right?
Hmm.
So you have lots of time
Yeah.
because no one will remember you. Like you don't want to automate your relationships. I do want to talk before I ask you my favorite question to wrap things up. I want to talk about this paper file checklist system because I think that's the part that astonishes me is like ballpark, how many listings do you think your team will sell in a year, roughly?
Well, I mean, if I'm doing 50, I don't know, 80.
80, and then you have buyer transactions like
Yeah.
another
100
100. And
on a good year. Yeah.
am I correct in thinking that every deal and listing starts in a paper folder, that inside of that paper folder is stapled a long checklist. And those paper folders are 2 different colors based on what kind of thing it is. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it is. I will say our assistants now, Ella and Ellie, they're in their early 20s, and I'll be surprised if they don't get us over to like a digital checklist system. Because even the guys on our team that really are not that much younger than me, they don't come in and print their file and put it in the folder like I do. So that is starting, I think, to slowly phase out. But yeah, we do have a paper checklist. They go through it, they do their part, they put the file on my desk, I initial it, I double check the file, initial it, and then they take it back from there. So everything for us is literally still.
And what I love about the paper is that well, first of all, I'm a huge The Office fan, so you got to support the Dunder Mifflins of the world, right? But what I love about the paper is that, like, I don't know about you, but if a to-do is in my phone, it's so much easier to forget. Where if it's like written on a Post-it note, just that visual cue. And there's something about, like, you guys have a pretty amazing marketing system, and you know all the things you do to promote your listings. It's easy to miss a step. And I find even using amazing tech, like, it can be easy to accidentally click on something as you've done it when you didn't do it, or skip it. Whereas when it's a checklist and it's like, here's the deal, start on the top,
Yeah.
work your way to the bottom. And it's not done until everything is done. Like there is I think, a beauty to that.
I think so too. And one of the things I find with like Follow Up Boss, which is where all my lead reminders are, is sometimes like I'll have, call Braden. And I'll be like, oh, I don't feel like calling Braden today. I'll just push that out to next Thursday, or you know what I mean? So I think it's a lot easier to push out a task that isn't on a written checklist, which is why even for myself, I still write down what I need to do every day, and cross it off, and that gives me some satisfaction. But whether you're doing it by paper or online, the point is you have to have them scheduled in and you have to do them, or they don't, like, the system doesn't work for you if no one is executing the system.
Yeah, no. And I think that's one of the common misconceptions when people talk about building a systems-based business. Like, still someone needs to run the systems.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's not going to be you need to hire an assistant.
Absolutely. Ashley, this has been great. I can't wait to see how the message. Every time we do something together, or you're doing a session for the agents, the thing I hear over and over again that people appreciate about you is your honesty. You're just a very honest person, and I love that so much. I want to ask you though, and I'm curious to know the answer to this question, because if it's not hang out with Mandy and I'm going to be pissed, just so you know. But if you suddenly had an extra 10 hours every week, while your business still was growing, what would you do with your time?
I'd have more fun.
Yeah. What does that look like?
Oh, yeah. I think I'd spend more time outside. I'd play more tennis. I started taking tennis lessons last year, which was huge for me. For anyone who doesn't know me, prior to this tennis lesson journey that I'm on, which is incredibly frustrating and humbling, I had signed up for golf lessons 2 summers in a row and missed every lesson, paid for them.
Yeah.
And didn't show. So yeah, if I had an extra 10 hours a week, I would just fill it with more fun stuff. Like, I feel like I'm really at the point in my career and just in my like self-discovery where I see how giving more time to yourself actually allows you to do a better business.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much for doing this.
No worries.
Okay. Now I'm going to drive to your house.
Okay, I'll see it. I got to change I'll put your fresh sheets on.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching Breakthrough with Coach B. If you're ready to grow by letting go, check out our website, bradenwheatcroft.com, for all of our free and paid breakthrough resources. Your future self and your loved ones will thank you. All right. Catch you in the next episode.